Well, hello, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are when you watch this. I thought today, I thought today I would start a new series. I had done a couple of interesting tutorials that seemed to go over well previously. I'll link them if I can remember in the description below. But today, what I'd like to do, I think, is to start out by doing a basic twist. The reason why I'm doing this series is because I remember when I started doing, trying to learn how to draw Celtic knots, it was really hard to find just basic tutorials to show you the way that you can take something simple and then modify it to make it into more and more complex things. And it was like trial by fire. I had to learn an awful lot on my own, and it took me a long time, and I was sifting through tons and tons of stuff on Pinterest and YouTube and Googling things. And so I thought I'd do a little bit of a tutorial series on creating some basic, like what we would call border knots. So let me just give you an idea of what I'm going to be working on. So this is my idea. Today we're going to start on the simple one. This one down here, which is just a basic twist. You can find this on a lot of Roman mosaics and a lot of different kinds of ancient artwork and even modern art. And then we can take it to something more complicated, like a bit of a braid, just a simple braid, and then take that. Sorry, my throat is awful today. Then take that simple braid and then start putting in things that are called breaks to make it a little more complicated of a design. So that's my goal for the next, I think, 4 videos. I think I'm going to do this in 4 parts. So today we are going to focus on just this basic twist. Okay? And I'll show you how I lay it out and show you how simple that is. And we'll see how it goes. All right, if you hear noise in the background, that's my family. Somebody up and about. I can never figure out when to do these videos when I have 5 people in this house and it's impossible, but we'll see how this goes. All right, so we're going to start out and we're going to do what's called grid. Ignore these blue lines, the blue grid paper. That's just for my purposes, so I keep things neat and orderly. So anyway, the grid, and you can do this on plain paper. You can draw this out just as long as it's nice and neat. You have a 9 by 2 grid for this one. And that's how I'm going to start, just because that's what fits on my paper, basically. I could go even to 10 on this paper, but I did 9. So we're going to start off, we're going to put circles. And make circles. Now, by the way, when you do this, these lines and these circles that I'm drawing, you're going to draw them lightly because they're going to be erased. They're just guides. They're just to get the basic drawing in. So you're just going to do on each intersection, you're going to do circles all the way to the end. Okay, now the next step is to go into each one of these boxes and in the center, put a circle. For each one, just in a circle. They don't have to be neat. They're going to be erased. So don't get too particular about them. But try and keep them around the same size, though. The bigger your circles are, the thinner your lines are ultimately going to be. The smaller your circle, the thicker your lines are going to be. That's kind of how that works. Okay? So for this one, to start drawing the basic knot, we're going to start here. And what you're looking at is to draw perpendicular, not perpendicular, parallel lines on one side, the inside of these circles. This is the beginning of your thread. Think of this as a thread. It winds its way, it's going to ultimately wind its way through. Okay? Now, we're going to do the next one. And we're just going to go across this grid, making parallel lines. They don't have to be particularly neat because you're going to go back later and you're going to erase anything that you don't need and retrace these lines. So don't worry about it being perfect. But do try and keep these lines, try and keep them on the inside of these circles, and don't go through the circles and don't go too far past the circles because we want to be able to visualize this, right? All right, we got them all. So now you have a whole row in this grid of parallel lines, sets of parallel lines. Okay, so now you're going to visualize that you're making a twist, right? So that means that these lines, they're going to go this way, right? And then this one will go this way. So if we have that in our head, that's what we're doing. It's a twist. So we can just go across. This will make this easier for you to do. Just go across and make this curve for the top of your twist. All right, we'll leave the ends. We'll do that last. Do the same thing for the bottom. Again, it doesn't need to be particularly neat. You are going to go back and you're going to outline it. All right, there you go. So we're almost done. The only thing that's left is to do the end. And now you're going to visualize that this is going to come around there, right? It's going to come around. Just try and keep it about the same distance apart, just so it looks neat, right? So there's your end. And then we go to the other side and we do the same thing. And you're going to visualize, this might go off the paper a little bit. Maybe. No, okay, we're good. All right, so we're just gonna, that's your end. And now, basically, that's your knot. That's your basic twist. And you can make this as fancy as you like, as simple as you like. You can stylize this by giving these ends a point. You can just do that, stylize it, and give these ends a pointy. If you want, you can go in and you can do designs inside here. You can, I forgot to do that, those are the inside loops because it loops around. I didn't finish that part. So you want to make sure that your threads loop like that. Okay, so and you can go back and you can even make these thinner if you want. If you want to make thinner lines, you can make them even thicker than this if you want, but just, the thicker they get, the more busy they get. But anyway, so Let me just go over these with darker pencil. I think we'll try like a 4B. Hopefully that's dark enough. And we'll just go over these. This isn't going to be, you know, a brilliant piece of artwork. I'm just showing you this for illustration purposes, right? And there you go. And I'm pressing pretty hard so I make this dark so you can see it. And now you can see that it's taking shape. Just make sure all your lines get, you know, come to meet the line, because that's going to be important in pulling off the illusion that it's actually a thread. Okay, and so there you see it, and you can go back and you can erase all these circles. I'm not going to be too particular about this because this is just to show you how to create the knot itself. There are stylistic things you can do to this at this point. I think I'm going to save that for a different kind of video. I have some ideas about either Patreon or ebooks. Still working out some ideas in my head, but then just to give you an idea though, you see this one down here. This is where I went in and I outlined it pretty dark. I gave it some shading to give it a little bit of depth. I added some shading in on either side of the knots to kind of make it look like one thread is on top of the other. And you do that just by going on either side of the line, and don't worry about being particularly neat with this. I'll show you why in a second. All right. Blending stump. If you don't have one and you draw in pencil and you use a lot of, you know, pencil drawings and things like that, blending stumps, they're your best friend. This is what makes your stuff look really real, other than using certain techniques to create the illusion of texture and stuff like that. Blending stumps are a really, really important tool to have to create a bit of realism. The Celtic knots usually aren't about realism. They're about sort of an abstract kind of realism, right? You make them look more interesting when you make them look like they are on top of each other. And this is the kind of thing that, like, if you're right on top of it, you may be like, I don't know, it doesn't, you know, but when you back away from it, when you back away from the drawing and you look at it, that's when you see it. That's when you're like, oh yeah, look at that. Look at that effect. And again, I've seen these in like Roman mosaics. I haven't seen Roman mosaics personally, but I mean in videos and books and stuff like that. I've seen them in. So anyway, I'm not going to go through this. I could get carried away with this. I could sit here all day and play around with this and get more and more detailed as we go. But anyway, you're going to, this is what I did for this. I'm just showing you how I started that. This would be like the beginnings of a nice design that you could do. And add all your own details to it and give it a little bit of realism. And you're just taking the blendy stump and getting up close to the line and then pulling, basically pulling the lead pencil residue away from the line without destroying the line. You don't want to destroy the line. But you can always go back over it with another pencil, darker pencil, or go back over it again if you happen to kind of make it look a little too dull. And anyway, so that's basically your Celtic knot again, or not Celtic knot. This isn't a Celtic knot. This is a basic twist. But I wanted to show you this first for this series because understanding this is going to lead to the next. When we get a little more complicated, it's going to be this one. Okay, this is a braid, and this is going to, instead of having this one piece of rope that's twisted, it's going to be a couple pieces of rope that are kind of braided together. Okay, so you can see how they braid. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video and then see if maybe I'll do the next video, get that done and out of the way. But anyway, hopefully you learned something from this one. And again, you can take this twist, you can style it up any way you want. And I'll do later on in the series, maybe I'll do another video to kind of go over some creative options, stylistic options you can use for these kinds of things. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up for today. Hopefully that helped you out a little bit. And leave me a comment down the bottom if you like this. Hit like, hit subscribe. There will be more of this kind of thing coming. This seems to be a really popular thing, so I'm going to probably be doing a lot of this kind of thing, in addition to my other floral stuff and things like that. So anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling. Hopefully you have a great day. Give this a try, and let me know in the comments how you do. All right, have a great one. Bye-bye.